know, I hope I don't fall off of here. If I do, this'll all be mine. I hear that Madrid was ripping on me in here. What a rookie, what an amateur. You do not make fun of the guy who has the microphone last. Rookie. My wife is a convert to the Catholic faith. She had a tough time with confession. She understood the theology. She couldn't get it through her head that when you go to confession, you gotta confess your own sins, not your husband's. Bless me, Father, Ray has sinned. She made her first confession when she was 39. Now guys, you read these marriage books, they all tell you the same thing. Be on your knees for your wife. Okay, all right, fine. I'm gonna do that. She goes in that confessional, I get on my knees. And I stayed there the whole time. So I took a week off from work. She comes out. Honey, what do you think? Well, Ray, I feel pretty clean. Good, good. So, well, what'd you tell Father? I'm not telling you that. You can tell me you're not bound by the seal. I'm not telling you, Ray. I figured it out. You want to know what your spouse or your kid tells Father in the confessional? You kind of got to go in the back door. So, honey, what'd you get for penance? Now, if you know what they got for penance, you can kind of reason backward to how rotten gut they were. Yes, I could tell you that, she said. Got a rosary. Is that a rosary? It's not bad for 40 years of pagan muck. She said, with the stations of the cross at every bead. Oh, kind of wish you'd have told me that before I married you, but I still got to kiss you. Maybe I ought to blow you first. Then she asked me, okay, Ray, what do you usually get for penance? Me? Most of the time? Half a sign of the cross. Sometimes a quarter. That's hardly enough time to levitate. Now, gentlemen, I've been shrinking for over 35 years. I used to be like 6'9". The main reason people come to me, and this reflects on guys, is discipline. Friends, family, church, school, 80% discipline. Why do you discipline kids? Well, can't establish morals and character without it. I don't care how nice a sticker system you have. Gentlemen, you know why else you discipline? I'm going to give you a main reason right now. This is for the parents and the grandparents in here. You're the best that kid's ever going to have. You know that? If you don't do it for whatever the reason, it's going to be done. Those folks out there will discipline that child. A judge, a landlord, an army sergeant, a police officer, an employer. I shudder at this next one. A wife. Somebody's going to teach them, and the world hurts. The world will hurt our kids. Some employer is not going to say, you are just so cranky. Did you get a nap today? You go home and rest up till you're ready to come back to work. I tell folks, discipline without love may be harsh. Love without discipline is child abuse. Because ultimately, that kid is going to get crushed by those folks out there. You do not want to do that to a child because he's going to face them. And he may run over us. He may run over our wives. By the way, we'll get to that in a second because I don't want you guys to let him run over your wives. But he's not going to run over them. There was only one person that ever conquered that world. Now the problem here, gentlemen, some of you guys have raised your kids. A lot of you guys have raised your kids. I've noticed something. The older generation in here was the last group, in my opinion, that who knew the parent was. They knew you were dad. They are not. Now, oh my gosh, you young guys in here, We got you and your wife's head spinning. You leave him on the pot 4 minutes too long, he's going to grow up to be a tattooed-faced motorcycle gang member on Springer. You named him John because you were hoping it would help in the toilet training. Sorry, John. I remember I was 3 years old. I said this to my mother. I don't like you. She looked at me. Raymond, you're a little behind. Stopped liking you last year. Yeah, it was back before you could psychologically smack parents around, you know? One of my kids tells me I don't like you, so what? I got 5 or 6 who do. Any given moment, I got a 50% approval rating. Now, at one point, my children, not like Madrid, he's got 11, but he spread them out, okay? I adopted all of mine. And one of the great things about adoption, some of you are adoptive parents in here, agencies won't tell you this. It's a great benefit of adoption. If you adopt in December, you still get the tax deduction for the whole year. Yeah, they pay for themselves that first year, then you start to fall behind because they eat more, but if you come back in the food, you can break even September, October. Now, at one point, my children were 12, 11, 10, 10, 9, 7, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And my wife and I used to get in these big arguments. Guys, I personally think you'll agree with me. First of all, my wife does not work for a living. I don't know what she does. Man, you quote me, I'll deny I was even here. Now, I've seen what the woman does. I want no part of what the woman does. She would take him to a grocery store. I'd go. If I was heavily sedated, I would go. You had to see it strung out behind her like ducks, you know, hands at their sides, not allowed to touch anything. And they would not deviate 6 inches either way out of a straight line the whole 3 hours they were in there. No, they wouldn't. Leg irons wouldn't let them. I got 3 white kids, 2 Hispanic kids, 2 biracial kids, 3 black kids. People would look at my wife. Some of them were pretty bold. Is this some kind of club or something? Some of them wouldn't say a whole lot, but I could read their eyes. That major dork don't realize that ain't all his. I suspect her, but I can't catch her. Now, there is an interesting phenomenon that occurs in my office. A parent will come in, describe a litany of trouble about this long. Then they'll say this, you know, I think I'm giving you the wrong impression. Overall, he's a pretty good kid. How's that? Well, he's not on drugs or anything like that. Hey guys, one of the new moral high bars, he's not on drugs. I ask my clients, what do you want looking back at you at age 22? What would you hope to be able to say? Now, no guarantees, but what would you hope to be able to say about that child staring back at you? If you're content to say, well, you know, given the way kids are turning out nowadays, I'm counting my blessings. Parole officer says one of the nicest kids he has. I tell him, you don't have to be like them anymore. You just kind of float along. You'll probably have a kid not on drugs. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'm going to share with you something. You're a weird bunch. Flat out, you're a weird bunch. Pat was talking about this. Listen to this. The weather stinks, okay? It's cold. You show up on a Saturday. You give up your whole Saturday to come here to listen to a couple guys prattle on. You're either unbelievably involved men, or you got no life whatsoever. Either way, you got to understand, that is not you anymore. You're different. So you want to look at that kid, that grandkid, and say, well, I'm not objective, but I think the kid's 1 in 100. Morals, character, compassion, seeks God. Beautiful human being. Guys, you better be 1 in 100. You can't compare yourself to those folks anymore. They'll take you places you don't want to go. They give out freedom 5 years too early. Technology freedom 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years just because the culture's doing it. And you try to stand strong, you're going to get pounded. You're going to have to be strong. Why? Because the people around you are going to question you. They're going to critique you. Hey, back off. Lighten it up. What are you? Quasi-Amish? Loosen it up. I've seen a lot of guys stand strong against a culture no longer on their side. And you'll be more likely to hear this. You got great kids, or you got great grandkids. Ever notice how sometimes you don't get credit for it? Many of you have climbed your way uphill in trying to raise great kids who seek God. And then, when it's all done, and they recognize that you got good kids, you hear this. You are so lucky. You just got good kids. You got Chastity and Angelica. I didn't get good kids. I got Chucky, Damien, Cujo, and Lucifer. It was the luck of the draw, you know?